6 is usually. And in them. Yeah, it's fine.
Good morning. How's everybody? Hanging in there? I'm sore. We had our first softball practice yesterday and the coach made me do all these things. And I was like, I'm not in shape for this. Why? He's like, I need a volunteer. It's going to be you. I'm like, my daughter was all like, ha, you have to run the bases. I'm like, the kids are all faster than me. I'm like, this is embarrassing. I was like, I went slow to make you all feel good about yourselves. Right? I'm all like limping around today. I'm like, it's embarrassing. Went home and had some like extra snacks to make up for it. But I had another thought. It left me. Now I'm thinking about snacks. Right? Distracted. Okay, let me see. Make sure I started this year. Okay. Yeah, I'm helping to coach 2 softball teams. So I'm gonna, it's like 6 days a week starting this week. It's awful. It's like every night but one. And then Sunday morning at 8. Who makes a practice at 8 on Sunday morning? I was like, I'm finding myself deeply religious all of a sudden. Like I'm gonna have to worship at the church of sleep on Sundays. I'm gonna see how that works when I try and explain that to her tomorrow, but I don't think it's gonna go well. 8 o'clock. That's early, right? Like make it at least 9. That's too early. I know. You can pick any time, 8 a.m. No. That's right. I can handle 9, but 8, that's like you have to wake up at 6. Early. Anyway, I'll stop complaining now. I'll move on. What was my thought here? Okay. Click this. So we left off here. We finished this, right? I have down in my notes that we finished this slide. So we're here. Okay. So we have 2 more models to go before the sun is so like feel like a vampire and like sun. No, make it dark. All right. So we have 2 more models to go. We'll talk about the humanistic and existentialist model and then the sociocultural model. This one, I have a couple of videos that we're going to watch that I think are really, really interesting. And they're fun from like a therapeutic standpoint in the sense that you get to see some of these very classic therapists actually performing or doing therapy with a client. But from this perspective, so I'll write this one up here on the board. The humanistic and existentialist. Combining 2 of them together, humanism and existentialism. Humanism looks a lot at things like goodness and growth and potential. It's a very like positive branch of psychology, right? It looks at like, what is your potential as a person? What are the things that you strive toward? What is it that gives you meaning is the other thing that we could add up here from an existentialist perspective. What drives you in your life? What do you derive meaning from? Right. So from this perspective, we're trying to kind of be the best that we can be to reach our life goals, our life potentials. We have freedom of choice. There's a lot of like spirituality. So it's a very like positive branch, very opposite of Freud and his ideas. And looking a lot again at meaning. What are the things that give you meaning in your life? Existentialism has some really interesting types of like therapy and therapeutic techniques that come with it, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a few minutes. But in this perspective, we get a couple of different types of therapy. And client-centered therapy, the first one up here, is a very, very common type of therapy. It's very commonly practiced, made famous by a man named Carl Rogers. And Carl Rogers is a very prominent therapist, probably most well known for his type of therapy. And he developed something he called client-centered therapy. The client is the center of it all. The client is in charge in a way. And people either love this or they hate this, right? If you're the kind of person who wants to drive your own therapy, you would love it. If you want somebody to be very direct and give you guidance and more direct like advice, you would hate this. And so it'll be interesting to see what you think when I show you the clip in a few minutes. But Rogers was all about like trying to be empathetic, trying to accept people as they were, trying to help people realize their like meaning and values in life, right? To take responsibility for your own actions in your own life and your own drive. And that even carried over into therapy, right? Very, very like genuine person. If he didn't like you, he wouldn't work with you, right? Because he didn't feel like he could be like inauthentic in any way, right? He really believed in being genuine. And so what I have that I want to share with you is a clip of him. So very rarely do we have clips of these people, right? Most of them are long gone at this point. But Rogers, we have a little video of him talking about how he plans to approach his therapy, what are his ideas. And then a woman named Gloria volunteered to work with 3 different therapists. And she was told to come in with an issue in mind to talk about and just to let it go wherever it goes. And so I have a video of her working with Rogers and a video of her working with Pearls. They're polar opposite perspectives, and we can talk about that a little bit. But I want to play that video of Rogers first. Again, a few minutes of him telling you kind of what his plan is. And then after that, you'll see him working with Gloria. And Gloria gets mad at him a little bit, right? He's very non-directional. He just kind of imitates and repeats and echoes the things that she says. And she wants a little bit more from him and gets a little frustrated, gets really frustrated with this guy. So kind of entertaining, I think, to watch. But let me bring this up here. And I'll write a couple of just words and thoughts up on the board related.
This question that I'm trying to describe now, I know that my own feelings, awareness and be expressed, but be expressed in ways that like impose themselves into self-pleasing this person, caring for this person. I certainly don't want to pretend a caring that I don't feel. In fact, if I dislike my client persistently, I feel it's better that I should express it. But I know that the process of therapy is much more likely to occur, and constructive change is much more likely if I feel a real spontaneous rising of this individual within my working. Rising of this person as a separate individual. You can call it the acceptance, you can call it caring, you can call it a non-possessive love, if you wish. I think any of those terms can be described. I know that the relationship will prove more constructive if it's present. Then my third quality, will I be able to understand the inner world of this individual from the inside? And will I be able to see it through her eyes? Will I be able to be sufficiently sensitive to move around inside the world of her feelings so that I know what it feels like to be heard, so that I can sense not only the surface meanings, but some of the meanings that lie somewhat underneath the surface. I know that if I can let myself sensitively and accurately enter into their world of experience, then change and therapeutic movement are much more likely. Suppose I am fortunate that I do experience some of these attitudes in the relationship. Then, well, then a variety of things are likely to happen. Both from my clinical experience and from our research investigations, we find that if attitudes of the sort that I've described are present, then quite a number of things will happen. She'll explore some of her feelings and attitudes more deeply. She's likely to discover some hidden aspects of herself that she wasn't aware of previously. Feeling herself prized by me, it's quite possible she'll come to prize herself more. Feeling that some of her meanings are understood by me, then she can more readily perhaps listen to herself, listen to what's going on within her own experience, listen to some of the meanings she hasn't been able to catch before. And perhaps if she senses a realness in me, she'll be able to be a little more real within herself. I suspect there will be a change in the manner of her expression. At least this has been my experience in other instances. From being rather remote from her experiencing, remote from what's going on within her, it's possible that she'll move toward more immediacy of experiencing it. But she will be able to sense and express what's going on in her in the immediate moment. From being disapproving of herself, it's quite possible she will move toward a greater degree of acceptance of herself. From somewhat of a fear of relating, she may move toward being able to relate more directly and to encounter me more directly. From construing life in somewhat rigid black and white ways, she may move toward more tentative ways of construing her experience and of seeing the meanings in it. From a locus of evaluation which is outside of herself, it's quite possible she will move toward recognizing a greater capacity within herself for making judgments and drawing conclusions. So those are some of the changes that we have.
Okay, so I have the second part here in a second, but some of the things that he's saying, right? We have, he believes in being real and genuine, right? Admirable, right? He wants to be who he is, right? He's real, he's genuine. He, another word for that is, he said, is congruent, right? I plan on being congruent. The same way I would be normally, I will be with my clients, right? And that's a really big part of his theory. I'm going to be real, genuine, congruent, transparent. I'm going to tell you what I feel, what I think, and I'm going to be very open, right? Because he hopes his clients will be open. He's modeling what he wants them to do, right? He also believed in accepting his clients no matter what, right? A really big part of Rogers' theories was unconditional positive regard. Who traditionally gives you unconditional positive regard? Anyone know?
Mom.
Your mom and dad, your parents, right? Your parents would give you unconditional positive regard. Most of our relationships have conditions, right? I will love you as long as you continue to do X or don't do Y, right? Like there are conditions to most of our relationships. Parents ideally should give you that unconditional positive regard. He believed in doing that with his clients. I will accept you and care for you no matter what. And I will have empathy for you. I will feel for you. I'll feel things alongside of you. Those are his goals. Now, he also believes, as I mentioned, in being exceedingly non-directive. What that means is he does not give advice. From this perspective, the client is the center, right? So the client knows what's best, even if they're not aware of it yet. He will help you get there, but he's not going to tell you what to do. And so Gloria is going to come in. Now that's what we'll watch next, about 5 minutes of their time together. They work together for about a half hour, but I'm just going to show you the first 5 minutes. And you can kind of see what this looks like. And you can also see her get a little bit annoyed with him as well. He's such a kind guy, but still it's a little bit obnoxious. Be thinking as you watch it, would you like this or not? Would this be nice for you or would it drive you nuts? Okay, so here's the second part.
Success in creating the kind of conditions that I described initially, then we may be able to see some of these changes in this client, even though I know in advance that our contact is going to be very brief. Good morning. You must be Gloria.
Yes, I am.
That's fair. And the other, we don't know be able to make a list, but we can something like. Be glad to know whatever concerns you.
Right now, I'm nervous, but I don't feel comfortable the way you're talking about what I've raised. I don't feel like you're being so harsh on me. But
She just finished meeting with the other guy that we'll see in a minute, who's much harsher than Rogers. Rogers is a nice guy, other guy, not so much. So that's why she's all nervous. We'll see him in a minute.
the main thing I talked to you about is I'm just newly divorced, and I had gone in therapy before, and I felt comfortable when I lived, and all of a sudden now the biggest change is adjusting to my single life. And one of the things that bothered me the most is especially men from having them into the house and how it affects the children. And the biggest thing the thing that keeps coming to my mind, I want to tell you about is I have a daughter 9, who at one time I felt had a lot of emotional problems. I wish I could stop shaking. And I'm real conscious of things affecting her. I don't want her to get upset. I don't want to shock her. I want so bad that her could accept me. And we're real open with each other, especially about sex. And the other day, she saw a girl that was single but pregnant. And she asked me all about, can girls get pregnant if they're single? And the conversation was fine, and I wasn't at ease at all with her until she asked me if I'd ever made love to a man since I left her daddy. And I lied to her. And ever since that, it keeps coming up to my mind because I feel so guilty lying to her because I never lied and I want her to trust me. And I almost want an answer from you. I want you to tell me if it will affect her on if I told her the truth or what.
And it's this concern about her and the fact that you really are this open relationship that has existed between one and you feel is kind of.
Yes, I feel like I should be on guard about that because I remember when I was a little girl, when I first found out my mother and father made love that was dirty and terrible, and I didn't like it anymore for a while. And I don't want to lie to Pammy either, and I don't know.
I sure wish I could give you the answer as to what you should tell her.
I was afraid you were going to say that.
What you really want is an answer.
I want to especially know if it would affect her. If I was completely honest and open with her, or if it would affect her because I lied. I feel like it's bound to make a strain because I lied to her.
So she will suspect that, or she will know something's not quite right.
She'll distrust me, yeah. And also, I thought when she gets a little older and she finds herself in such a situation, she probably wouldn't want to admit it to me because she thinks I'm so good and so sweet. And yet I'm afraid she could think I'm really a devil. And I'm not so glad for her to accept me. And I don't know how much a 9-year-old can take.
Both alternatives concern you. She might think you're too good or better than you really are.
Yes.
She might think that you're worse than you are.
Not worse than I am. I don't know if she can accept me the way I think I paint a picture that I'm all sweet and motherly, and I'm a little ashamed of my shady side too.
Let's see. Really cuts a little deeper. If she really knew you, could she accept you?
This is what I don't know. Yeah. I don't want her to turn away from me. But I don't really know how I feel about it because there are times when I feel so guilty, like when I never remember. Even try to make a special setup so that if I were ever alone with them, the child would never catch me and that sort of thing. But I'm real leery about it. And yet I also know I have these desires.
So it's quite clear. It is not only her problem or the relationship with her, it's in you as well.
Guilt.
So,
Yeah,
what can I accept myself as doing?
Yes. Yes.
You realize that you set up sort of subterfuges so as to make sure that you're not caught or something. You realize that you are acting in guilt, is it?
Yes. I don't like the way I would like to feel comfortable with whatever I do. If I choose not to tell Pammy the truth, to feel comfortable that she can't handle it, and I don't. I want to be honest, and yet I feel there are some areas that I don't even accept.
If you can't accept it in yourself, how can you possibly be comfortable in telling them the truth?
Right.
And yet, as you say, you do have these desires and you have your feelings, but you don't feel good about them.
I'm telling you, just want to sit there and still want more. I want you to help me get rid of my guilt feeling. If I can get rid of my guilt feeling about lying or going to bed with a single man, any of that, just so I can feel more comfortable.
I guess I'd like to say, no, I don't want to let you just stew in your feelings. But on the other hand, I also feel that this is the kind of very private thing that I couldn't possibly answer for you. But I'm sure as anything will try to help you work toward your own needs.
All right. I believe him, right? Like when he says that, there's such a genuine quality to it. But what do you think? How many of you, I'll give you two choices. You would like this or you would not like this, right? How many of you would like this type of therapy by show of hands? Like at least partially, like it wouldn't be too bad. Not very many. How many of you would not want that type of therapy? More of you. So thoughts, like why on either end? There's no right or wrong. Yeah.
helping her in zero. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, I think sometimes personally, I like a tough love kind of approach. Like,
Sure.
all my friends know not to like share things with me. And like, I think you can still have a genuine acceptance and unconditional acceptance of someone and still be able to tell them like when something's wrong.
Sure.
Or anything like that. I feel like it's like sometimes it's okay to lie to your kids because you need to protect them from things.
Yeah.
That would have been like, that would have made that so much quicker and easier for her.
Right, like just a little bit of reassurance, right? Like a little bit of advice. And yeah, you can have tough love, but still being kind and genuine and all of that. Yeah.
I think for me, it would more be like, I would want them to be like, look deeper inside yourself and tell me why you were afraid to tell your children, which is kind of like, why he was like, my thing is why he was doing that. Like, that's what my therapist said. She's like, okay, but I want you to tell me why you think that doing X will lead to Y.
Sure.
And it kind of like helps me look deeper inside myself and be like, oh, maybe it wouldn't be that way, or maybe it would be.
Yeah.
And like help me like actually think about it.
Yeah, I like that. Right. Yeah, we'll go there and then.
I kind of agree with her, kind of like digging deeper. And then also more guidance and, you know, instructing. I kind of am the one to always give advice, so I would prefer the advice being given to me. So that's just me personally.
Sure. Yeah, and a lot of people like advice. I mean, a lot of people go to therapy because they want advice, right? They want direction and guidance and advice, and he'll get you there, but not in the way that I think a lot of people want. Yeah.
He definitely felt like it felt like she was just talking to herself.
Sure.
Where she was just hanging out talking to herself. Anything he said, it didn't add anything to the argument. And I feel like she could have saved a lot of time by staying home, not bothering with the commute, and just talking to Mary.
Sure. Okay. And a lot of people feel that way with him. He's doing something, it's a therapeutic term called echoing or mirroring, right? It's actually a lot harder than it looks like it is. It seems easy, right? Like she says a bunch of stuff and he kind of repeats a little bit of it back to her, right? And sometimes there's like a clarifying question. It's actually so challenging to do, like to be 100% present and echo back what people are saying. But a lot of people feel that way of like, well, you're just kind of just sitting there and listen. I could talk to the wall and be in the same spot, save the money, save the commute. But he is like asking for clarification. But yeah, a lot of people don't love that, right? There was a few other hands. Yeah.
I think to listen.
Sure.
I don't think the words he's getting her to think more critically.
Mhm.
Situation, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm someone who had like the same point of view towards his therapy, that it's probably a waste of time.
Mhm.
And then I actually went to therapy, like completely changed my mind about it.
Yeah.
Like I said, echoing is not such an easy technique, and
It's not.
and it's more useful.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting, and so you can, if you want to watch the rest of this, you can type in like Rogers and Gloria. It was on YouTube, so you could find it. She actually has a pattern of not taking responsibility for any of her actions, and so she wants to dump it onto him, right? She wants him to tell her the answer. She wants him to solve it for her. He wants her to solve it for herself, right? And so there's actually a lot of technique behind it, even though on the surface it looks like he's not doing a whole lot. It's interesting. People tend to be so split. They love it or they hate it. I'll go here and then I'll go up. Yeah,
It's important to start with,
sure.
because obviously when people validate your feelings, it kind of gives you a sense of calming and a sense of like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, so I'm not crazy, and this is something that somebody actually understands why it's bugging me.
Mhm.
But then if the therapy session is an hour, as the 20 minutes go by after you're validating them and like mirroring them and echoing them, he mentioned to her, you can't really expect someone to accept you for that if you can't, like,
Yeah,
he said something along the lines of you have to accept yourself,
right.
basically. But he didn't say that in a way of like, do this and then have that issue and then fix that and that. He just was like, yeah, well, I mean, how can you really expect her to accept you if you can't do that to yourself? And then just kept repeating her.
Yeah.
So she's like, good point. Oh, and then he just keeps talking and then just ruins the whole thing. So I feel like both of I mean, we haven't watched that other video yet.
Yeah.
But I feel like both of the therapists probably go well together. You just have to
Sure.
layer them correctly. Because validating is one of the most important.
Yeah, let's start there, but you wanted to move forward from there a little
Yeah.
bit too. How about for you? You got a thought?
I feel like in this kind of therapy, it can only go as fast as the person lets themselves
Yeah.
go.
Exactly.
Because he's giving her like guiding questions and then just leaving her alone with her thoughts while he's just being like,
Mhm.
yeah. And so it's like helpful for her to work out her own thoughts with someone there, but at the same time, like she wants an answer, but he's not gonna give her an answer, so
Right.
she has to have it.
Yeah, puts a lot of pressure on the client, right? But he believes that they can handle it. I like the way he started it. I've started therapy sessions that way of like, well, we have, 50 minutes together today and, whatever you would like to share, and you just kind of leave it open to the client. He has some great techniques in there, and I love how genuine he is, right? Like I tend to strive for that in every area of my life of being the same person, right? If you run into me at the grocery store buying cake, I'm the same person I am standing here. Of course, I'd be buying cake, as the person I am standing right here now, right? I tend to be a very genuine person. So I love that about him. But that non-directionality definitely isn't for everyone. So I'm going to give you a very opposite perspective of him. Also within this framework, Gestalt therapy is the other one here. This was developed by a man named Fritz Perls, and I have a video of him telling you how he approaches therapy. So different. Thick accent, smoking a cigarette, like different time, obviously than today. But he believed in a very different take, right? And he likes to skillfully frustrate his clients. And you'll see that. He pisses her off. He makes her mad, right? But they get somewhere with it. Very, very different techniques. And we can talk about which one you would prefer, or your reactions to him as well. Gestalt is an interesting term. It's a very commonly used in sensation and perception. Gestalt means like a whole or a form or a pattern. He looks for patterns in people, a lot at like the current moment. So I'll let him describe how he plans to approach it. Again, very thick accent, but hopefully you can kind of get the essence of what he's trying to say. I wouldn't want to see him.
I want to interview a patient, and I'd like to give you some thumbnail sketch of what Gestalt therapy stands for. Gestalt therapy is working on an equation: awareness, equal present time, equal reality. In contrast to depth psychology, we try to get hold of the obvious, of the surface, of the situation in which we find ourselves, and to develop the emerging Gestalt strictly on the I and thou, here and now basis. Any escape into the future or the past is examined as a likely resistance against the ongoing encounter. Modern man has alienated, given up so much of his potential that his ability to cope with his existence becomes badly impoverished. My aim is this: the patient should recover his lost potential. He should integrate the conflicting polarities, understand the difference between game playing, especially the playing of verbal games, on the one hand, and of genuine, authentic, confident behavior on the other. The civil war of inner conflicts weakens the efficiency and comfort of the patient. Every bit of integration will strengthen it. Now, in the safe emergency of the therapeutic situation, I repeat, in the safe emergency of the therapeutic situation, the patient begins to take risks and to transform his energies from manipulating the environment for support into developing greater self-support, that is, reliance on his own resources. This process is called maturation. Once the patient has learned to stand on his own feet, emotionally, intellectually, and economically, his need for therapy will collapse. He will wake up from the nightmare of his existence. The basic technique is this: not to explain things to the patient, but to provide the patient with opportunities to understand and to discover himself. For this purpose, I manipulate and frustrate the patient in such a way that he's confronting himself. In this process, he identifies with his lost potential. For instance, through assimilating his projections by acting out the alien parts of himself. Principally, I consider any interpretation to be a therapeutic mistake, as this would imply that the therapist understands the patient better than the patient himself. Takes away from the patient the chance of discovering himself by himself, and prevents him from finding out his own values and style. On the other hand, I disregard most of the content of what the patient says and concentrate most on the non-verbal level, as this is the only one which is less subject to self-deception than his verbal pseudo self-expression. On the non-verbal level, the relevant gestalt will always emerge and can be dealt with in the here and now.
All right, so he says he's going to work on awareness of the current moment, right? He's all about the present moment. Depth psychology is Freud, right? Freud believed in what's deep down, buried, unconscious. He believes in the obvious, the surface, the present, the awareness of this moment right now. And he also added that you can easily manipulate what you say, but your nonverbal stuff is going to give you away, right? So he focuses a lot on what she does more than what she says. So every time she moves, every time she smiles, she fidgets, that's what he points out, right? And his goal, he says it, I'm going to skillfully frustrate her, right? To try and get a reaction out of her and try and get somewhere. So very, very different. So here, let's watch him working with Gloria for a couple of minutes.
Right away, I'm scared.
You say you're scared, but you're smiling. I don't understand why you can be scared and smile at the same time.
And I'm also suspicious of you. I think you understand very well. I think you know that when I get scared, I laugh or I kid to cover up.
Do you have stage fright?
I don't know. I'm mostly aware of you. I'm afraid that you're going to have such a direct attack that you're going to get me in the corner, and I'm afraid of it. I want you to be more on my
You say I
side.
get you in your corner. You put your hand on your chest.
Mhm.
Is this your corner?
Well, it's like, yeah, it's like I'm afraid, you know.
Where would you like to go? Can you describe the corner you'd like to go to?
Yeah. It's back in the corner where I'm completely protected.
And where you would be safe of me. Okay.
Well, I know I wouldn't really,
Well,
but it feels safer. Yes.
Imagine you were in this corner. You're perfectly safe now. What would you do with the corner?
I just said,
Just sit.
yes.
How long would you sit?
I don't know, but this is so funny as you're saying this. This reminds me of when I was a little girl. Every time I was afraid, I feel better sitting in a corner.
Okay.
Panicky.
Are you a little girl?
Well, no, but it's the same feeling.
Are you a little girl?
This feeling reminds me of it.
Are you a little girl?
No.
No, I cannot. How old are you?
Sure.
And you're not a little girl.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're a 30-year-old girl who's afraid of a guy like me.
Well, I don't even know. Yeah, I do know I'll be afraid of you. I get real defensive with you.
Now, what can I do to you?
You can't do anything, but I can sure feel dumb, and I can feel stupid for not having the right answers.
Now, what would it do for you to feel dumb and stupid?
I hate it when I'm stupid.
What would it do for you to be dumb and stupid? Don't put it so like this. What would it do to me if you would play dumb and stupid?
That makes you all the smarter and all the higher above me. Then I really have to look up to you because you're so smart. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, up right at left.
No, I think you can do that all by yourself.
I think the other way around. If you play dumb and stupid, you force me to be more explicit
That's been said to me before, but I don't buy it. I don't believe
What are you doing with your feet now?
wiggling.
The joke now. Did you want me to?
To help me become more relaxed, yes. I don't want to be so defensive with you. I don't like to feel so defensive. You're acting like you're treating me as if I'm stronger than I am, and I want you to protect me more and be nicer to me.
Are you aware of your smile? You don't believe a word. It's your blood, you're showing me.
Do you believe you're meaning that seriously?
Yeah. If you see you're afraid and you laugh and you giggle and squirm, that's fine. I put it a performance for me.
Oh, I resent that very much.
Can you express this?
Yes, sir. I most certainly am not being phony. I will admit this. It's hard for me to show my embarrassment, and I hate to be embarrassed. But boy, I resent you calling me a phony. Just because I smile when I'm embarrassed or I'm put in a corner doesn't mean I'm being a phony.
You did this well for the last minute.
Well, I admit you.
Yes, that's, you didn't have to cover up your anger with your smile. Now, in that moment, in that minute, you were not afraid.
Well, at that minute, I was mad, though. I wasn't embarrassed.
Now, when you're mad, you're not afraid.
All right. I can't even imagine looking at a client and being like, you're a phony. Right? Like saying that, and he says it to her, like no hesitation, right? Just completely different perspective. So what do you think if you had to pick one, right? If you had to pick client-centered or Gestalt, like no other option, you have to pick one. How many of you would pick client-centered? It's looking better now, right? Looking a little better. How many of you would pick Gestalt? Okay, but so thoughts on this one? Any like reactions? What do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, so my dad actually. That's an institute.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But looking at it now, like I like that lady just seems so frustrated that I feel like it would deter people from going back.
Sure.
Like it might seem like a one-off thing.
Right. I'll go once and
Yeah.
never again. Yeah. But it's interesting, like she's mad, right? Like she's clearly mad and defensive, but it kind of feels like they got farther than she did with Rogers, right? And similar themes coming up, even though she didn't actually get to any content whatsoever. But yeah, I don't know how much I would want to go back, right? Like I want that, like you want like some warmth and like nurturing. So at least a lot of people do, like from a therapist, doesn't have a lot of that. There were a couple other hands. Yeah.
Well, both make progress overall. I
Mhm.
just feel like the fact that he was harsher and like a little more tough about it.
Yeah.
You know, pointing out stuff like body language and the way that she reacts is kind of tells you a little bit more about them
Mhm.
in that, 30 minutes or whatever, than just asking genuine questions.
Sure.
I mean, both will make progress. It's just whatever you would prefer, but
Mhm.
yeah, I think it just kind of shows a lot of body language and how you really react and how you really feel inside.
Yeah.
So
And I love, like, she says my corner, right? And she goes like this, right? Like every little thing that you do, whether you realize it or not, has meaning to it, right? And I love that he picks up on all that. Like that's, again, it's a lot of attention to hold. Did you have a thought? Yeah. Sure.
I guess between these two, in your opinion, which one would be better for someone who has like narcissistic personality?
Oh, so for that, I would go here. Because it could, but this one, I mean, they're gonna be like, well, of course I'm leading the therapy. I know best, right? Like, and so I don't think that's going to help a whole lot versus this one, it's gonna be calling you out on everything. Which I think would lend it better to that specifically. But a lot of going to therapy is figuring out what you want and what you need, right? Like if you go to a therapist and they're this way and this rubs you the wrong way, shuts you down, right? You don't want to go back to that. You want to find somebody who's going to give you the qualities that you need. Every therapist is different in the way that they approach counseling, right? Some are very kind and let you steer, and some are very like, I'm going to challenge every little thought that you have. Some are funny and some aren't, even just gender can be a preference for people. So, yeah, for that specific, I would say here, but it really is a very individual preference for each one of you. You're going to have something that you like and that you don't like. If I went to someone like this, I would probably shut down at some point and be like, well, you know best, go ahead, tell me, it wouldn't work for me. But I don't know if this would work for me either. There's a lot of other modalities, thankfully, and a lot of people blend it. Like you might have somebody who calls some of this out, right? Like yesterday. So I was going to therapy on Tuesday. I like moved and my therapist was like, you just adjusted yourself. Like, what's wrong? And I was like, I just was shifting in my seat. And she's like, you moved your shoulders. I was like, I wasn't aware of it. I was like, I guess I was feeling anxious about something. She's like, I noticed, and I'm like, sometimes people do notice that it can be meaningful, but I don't know if only focusing on that would work for me personally. Yeah.
I feel like, narcissistic personality disorder, which I think go better with the second one, but I feel like somebody with like severe childhood trauma or depression and anxiety would probably be better centered.
Right.
Centered because you kind of feel more comfortable and more open.
Yeah. If you have a client who needs safety and to feel safe and accepted, this probably isn't going to give them that like warm, safe feeling, right? Yeah.
I found it kind of funny that despite the fact client-centered therapy was meant to be the one that was all about being real, Gestalt therapy, he felt more like he was saying his actual opinion.
Sure.
Center felt like he was parroting things back, and Gestalt, he would interrupt the conversation to talk about the thing that he thinks needs to be talked about, which felt a lot more genuine.
Yeah.
At least to me.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I also thought that him pointing out every tiny body thing, like every movement she did, I feel like I've no doubt there were some that would have been important, but
yeah,
sometimes when you scratch your face, you're scratching your face.
Right. Freud would say no, but yeah, right. But right. But that's Freud, right? And so, yeah, and I think you're right. I mean, he is very genuine, maybe to a fault in a way, like very real. But then that's why they're both in the same perspective. They have commonalities, even though they approach it in a polar opposite kind of way. You had your hand up too.
Person. In that situation, I wouldn't shut down, but I wouldn't get in right there because I would be arguing. Like I would literally just start an argument. Because it's so condescending.
It is.
It's like, so condescending. Like some of it I do feel like kind of like exposed inner motives in her, or just like inner things that she was just confronting herself. And I think like very like in like smaller time delays, it would actually work.
Sure.
But what really bugged me was when he was like, "Are you a little girl?"
I know.
Yeah. Like, yes, I am a little girl still. I am still a child, just in a big body.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then to go on and be like, no, you're a 30-year-old girl, like, oh, you just contradicted it. See, I would bring out the worst in me. I'd be like, you just moved. Why'd you move? Like so far out. So this took place in the 50s, right? 60s, right? And so I think some of that is kind of the sexism of the time a little bit as well, the very male dominated field and like, some of that dynamic, but there is a lot of very like combative, condescending elements to it with good intentions behind it. It's interesting. It's so interesting. And, there's a lot of modalities that we're not talking about, but you said that I'm still a little girl, right? There's an approach called IFS, internal family systems therapy, which is an area of like specialty for me that I studied a lot. And we all have parts within us. So she might have a part of her that is still a little girl. And you need to be able to work with that little kid. Could he do that? No. I don't know. Rogers, I think could. But then how much responsibility are we giving a child? Or like a child part. So it's interesting. There's so many more than this. Big ones, yeah.
I just need to refer to this just because I feel like people put up a plan.
Yeah.
And it's over intentionally, then they would probably kind of take that mask off without realizing.
Yeah. And she does, right?
Yeah.
I like that.
As long as you don't finish it out.
Yeah, and it's a fine line, right? So I just wanted to share that with you because there aren't very many examples that we have of people actually doing these techniques that they're talking about. And it's such a unique opportunity. And again, if you wanted to watch the rest of them, there's one more. She works with one other person, forgetting who that is. But if you type this in on YouTube, I'm sure you could find it if you want to see the rest. But both of these are within this realm. So is existential therapy. This one is kind of a very, very meaning-based, right? And so you do a lot of exercises like reflecting on the meaning of your life. One common one that is done in this approach is to write your own obituary as if you were to die tomorrow. Right, intense to do. I've done it a couple of times as part of like a master's program and then also in a class. If you were to die tomorrow, what would your obituary say? What would be missing? Right, and then how do you feel after that whole process? Right, and what do you want to change now that you've imagined that moment? Kind of intense, right? All of these have like that kind of theme of finding meaning, realizing your potential, especially Rogers, you know, how can we get you to the ideas that you have about what you want to be? Was a big focus for him. So these are very common therapeutic techniques, a lot of talking and different approaches within each one of them, obviously. This one also has a lot of like role-playing exercises that are very common. One of the most common ones is called the empty chair. And you have an empty chair across from you and you have a conversation picturing somebody in that chair. And then you might even get up and be that person. And then you come back and be yourself and you go back and forth. Really kind of cool. I've done this a few times when I was doing therapy as a therapist, right? You would have a client sit there and have a conversation maybe with a parent. I had a young woman who wanted to come out to her parents over Christmas break. And so she sat in one chair and told her mom and then came over and reacted as if she were her mom and then back and forth. Really cool, like perspective taking exercises are very common within these approaches. So kind of some unique things there as well. All right, let's see. One more model, the socio-cultural model. I'll write this one over here. Sometimes called the multicultural perspective. It's socio-cultural. So with this one, we're looking at culture. We're looking at the influence of like multiple people. So dynamics between more than one person, right? So we're in a very social world. We interact with other people do influence us. So from this perspective, how do our cultures, how do the things around us maybe influence our thoughts and our behaviors? And I guarantee every single one of you have had this moment where maybe you looked at somebody else and you compared yourself to them. Right. I wish I had the same kind of job that they did. I wish my relationship was like theirs. They're graduating and I'm not. Oh my God, I'm behind. Right. Like any kind of comparison to other people and those expectations and norms can shape our behavior and the way we view ourselves. And so that's kind of the idea from this perspective of how can we understand ourselves and our behavior as it relates to others. And so we see a lot of treatments that involve more than one person from this approach, right? So this approach uses a lot of things like group therapy and couples therapy and family therapy and so on. Group therapy, very common modality. There's a lot of advantages to group therapy. You have a group of people who are all dealing with the same struggle, the same issue, and they get together and they have a therapist, sometimes two, depending on the size of the group. And there's a lot of like camaraderie that forms. I'm not alone. Right, you get to hear other people dealing with the same struggles and have this feeling of like, I'm not the only one. There are other people like me, other people dealing with what I'm dealing with. And then it's also quite a bit cheaper because you're sharing a therapist, right? So you get a little bit of a discount there. You can also have a variety of that called a self-help group. This is like AA or NA groups where it's not a therapist, but it's somebody with maybe more like experience in an area, somebody who's been dealing with an issue longer. But these can be absolutely amazing. They can also be a little bit challenging. It's very important as the therapist to have good boundaries within a group because they can get out of control very quickly, right? If you have a group of people who are all dealing with the same issue, they can kind of fuel each other in a negative way. I always think of if you've ever seen the movie Blades of Glory, older movie, but there's like a sex addicts meeting and they're all there because they're sex addicts and they're having sex before and after the meetings with each other in the parking lot. Like it gets out of control because they're all there for the same reason. Anger Management is another great movie. They're all there for anger issues. And so like one person gets mad and then everybody gets mad, right? I actually have that here. I'll play that for you. But there's a lot of examples of this, and it's just very important for that therapist to set good boundaries so that that kind of stuff doesn't escalate and get out of control.
My boss, he was talking to me about how many sick days I've taken, and I was like, don't go there, But he kept on about wanting to see some kind of a doctor's note or something, and I said, look, I'm seriously serious. You don't want to go there. But he kept talking, being such a nag, and then I just blacked out. I blacked out. And when I woke up, I was standing over him, and I was screaming, I told you not to go there. I told you not to go there.
How do you feel you handled that situation?
Not as well as I could have.
Remember, Lou, temper's the one thing you can't get rid of by losing it. Now, Fury Fighters, let's say hello to someone who's joining our quest to get the anger monkeys off our backs. Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, good news. I fed my anger monkey a banana this morning and he's feeling much better. More good news, you're not gonna have to listen to too many of those lame jokes because I only hear from one session.
Dave assaulted a female flight attendant in midair.
Nice. Should be doing good.
I didn't beat anybody. I touched a woman. I asked,
Bullshit, you're a woman beater. And you can't admit it because you're a piece of garbage.
I don't know about that, but now I understand why you're here.
I'm here because I was verbally attacked by my neighbor. And I took a dump on his porch. Right, Chris? You're better than me. That's why you can't copy your age. You're superior, he's superior. Maybe Dave's not ready yet, Chuck. You're not ready. Hear what he said? Let's introduce Dave to some of the rest of us. Girls, why don't you tell Dave?
All right, so you can see kind of the like how that works, right? There's a group of people, they're all talking about their stuff. They're all in different stages of the process, which is super helpful. But if you have a bunch of people who are angry, right, he's kind of attacking the other guy, right? You can kind of have to rein that in very carefully. Groups can get a little bit tricky in that way, but then everybody gets to kind of hear that process, right? So they tend to be really helpful, but tricky for the therapist to make sure. And a lot of people don't love group therapy because you're sharing the stage, right, in a sense, right? And some people want a little bit more like one-on-one than that, but they can be helpful, especially for things like eating disorders, people who are all dealing with a similar issue working together. They can get a lot of that feeling of not being alone. Another thing that sometimes comes in this perspective, family therapy. To family, because that's what happened to me as a child. I was dragged to family therapy. I think I mentioned last time, my parents believed in like therapy from a very young age, which is why I think I was so interested in becoming a therapist or working in this field. And so we always went to family therapy, and it was the worst. I hated it. It was like adults ganging up on the kids' time. My brother and I would just look at each other like, do we have to go? Like, we know exactly how this is going to go. And most of the time it kind of was that way, sadly. But oftentimes what you see with family therapy is somebody in the family is struggling with something. And so the whole family goes together. Right? If you live with a family, or if you've ever lived with a family, you know that it spills over. It affects everybody if one person has an issue. And so that's the idea behind this, is we're going to work on the family unit. I remember this still, and my brother and I still joke about it sometimes. But we went once, and my parents were so mad at us for not cleaning our rooms. Right? Like they were like, the kids don't respect the house. They're not cleaning their rooms, like complain. And my brother and I were like, all right, here we go. We're going to have to clean our rooms, right? Like kind of just ready for it. And the therapist looked at our parents and was like, that is their one space in the world. And if they would like to have it messy, you need to respect that. And we were like, yes. But I mean, the worst part of it is then we went home, it didn't matter anymore. We didn't care, and we cleaned our room. So in the end, like they won, but we had a little victory, right? But it tends to be that way, families going together, working on responsibility, communication, not that dissimilar here with couples or marital therapy. probably one of my favorite things that I did as a therapist. It's so unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen in a good or a bad way. But working with people who are in a committed relationship with each other, a romantic relationship, traditionally two people, though I once worked with a triad of 3 gay men. It was the most interesting therapy I've ever done. They were there for jealousy reasons. 2 of them were having sex more than one of the other ones, and he felt left out. It was amazing. It was so interesting. And they had such an amazing relationship. Other than that one piece, they were like, we have more hands, and all I could think was that was the problem in a way. We can do so much more together as a threesome. But this could be to help people stay together. It could be to help people break up. Oftentimes when there's kids involved, it's more family therapy. But couples therapy is something that I think a lot of people could benefit from, but it's very stigmatized, right? You go to couples therapy when you're at divorce's door. But for a lot of people, you could benefit from it quite a bit earlier. And I have a great clip of this. If you've seen the movie Couples Retreat, there's a whole bunch of couples counseling in that movie. And so I have a little montage of these people dealing with different therapists, different couples. They're all comedians, which I think just makes it funnier. But I'll play this for you, and you can kind of see the questions they ask, the format of this. And what is the most interesting about this type of therapy is the nonverbals matter a lot, right? And so if you let a couple come into a room and there's a couch and there are chairs, do they sit on the couch together or do they sit separately? Are they touching or are they apart? Are they arms crossed and closed off, or are they open and holding hands and close to each other? So notice that as you're looking at the different couples, those are things that matter a lot when you're looking at people coming in as well. So let me play this for you. It's a few minutes. It's a nice little montage of couples going to counseling.
How would you describe your relationship?
Average, straight.
Average, I mean, yeah.
And to clarify, what is an average grade relationship?
Well, we make it through things pretty good together. We have 2 great kids.
No one's called 911 in the middle of the night. There's not domestic violence in the.
Ronnie, when you say you make it through things together, what do you mean?
Oh, well, the usual stuff, work, kids.
I'm much less interested in the usual stuff and much more interested in your particular stuff. So what do you make it through together specifically?
Well, right now, specifically, Dave is dealing with his new launch of his video game, Guitar Hero. He sells Guitar Hero. And I am dealing with the renovations.
That's interesting.
That's interesting. But why do you keep writing stuff down in your little pad there?
Oh, I'm taking notes. Would it make you more comfortable if I didn't take notes?
Yeah, actually, it would make me more comfortable. Thank you.
That's interesting.
So we want to make the most of our time here on the island. So what we did was we put together a little informational packet to bring you up to speed on our relationship. Go ahead, that's for you.
It just contains pertinent medical data, family histories, stuff.
Everything but a mixtape.
How would you characterize your marriage?
Perfect.
Fantastic. Let's start with something easy then. What's your favorite thing about your partner?
She's a good mom.
He really is a great dad. Where did you meet?
School. High school. His cheerleader team.
Fullback.
I coached him. We actually had our daughter meet. On prom night, we conceived, and it was a little confusing at the time, but it's been a blessing. It's been the best thing that's ever
Probably
happened
the
to us.
best thing that ever happened to us.
We did the right thing.
How often do you have sex?
Once a week to week prefer. Screw harder. Work less, but bring home more. Keep this straight. All I know is whatever I do is not. So,
Why are you here?
oh, that's not my wife. That's true. You have to do a couple weeks ago.
Can we go boogie board now? once people knew what we were going through, I think my cortisol levels just shot up through the roof because it's difficult to go through a very private struggle publicly.
I heard what you think. You know what I'm really interested in is hearing about how you feel. Just tell her how you feel. Well, I think if you looked at everything, just explain intellectually how you feel, just tell her how you feel. One word. Sure. Angry? Cynthia?
Judged.
Very good. Yes, progress. Excited.
Relieved.
That is it. Yeah.
We're also got feelings.
Okay. Nice job today, guys. Great job for today. That's all for today. Yeah, great. How did we do? Did we do good? I mean, we're gonna make it? Well, this is our first session, we're not looking for an end result here. It's not a competition. But have you seen couples that are worse off than us? Yeah, or are we that far gone? Where are you gonna put a numerical value on, Doc, at like a 1 to 10, 1 being worse, 10 being best? Hang on 1 second. Where would you put us? Right where you are, sir. But if someone put a gun to your head right now, so you have to answer this second, we're all shoot. Are they gonna make it what you say? Huh? What would you say? Whoa. Hey, no one has a gun to my head, Mr. Smith. It's not a place for inappropriate behavior. And you definitely don't pull a hypothetical gun on your therapist. It's okay. It's clear the karma. Okay? I'll holster this.
So, I work 10 hours a day, so by the time I come home, I'm exhausted. It's not that I don't want to answer questions about the house renovation. I really just want to answer questions about anything.
But you may just be shutting your mind off. But it can feel like you're shutting your partner off as well. Again, that's a cautionary. And just as a point of interest, when you speak that way, David, you're really deprioritizing your teammate.
Excuse me?
It's called crossing emotional boundaries, or more commonly, bulldozing. And it's ugly. Ronnie, when you spoke earlier, let me just find it. There it is. You said we make it through things well together. That doesn't sound very fun. You don't want to look back and say, I made it through my life. We want to enjoy our projects, enjoy our work week. We want to enjoy our lives, celebrate our lives. And all this talk about my project and his work and my this and his that and mine and his, mine and it's, where's us? And all that, where is our journey? I don't hear it. And it's because it's not there.
Listen, I'm not saying that there's not some really stressful times sometimes, because there is, but it works for us.
Does it? I don't know. There's no us. There's no we. You two could be perfect strangers. I think the one thing that we can agree on today is that you guys should be doing a lot better than just works. Pretty sure that's why you're here. So that's it. Great job, everybody. Thank you.
That almost never happens, by the way, right? That I'm going to give you the most profound comment. Oh, look, we're out of time. Perfect, right? That very rarely does a session end that neatly. But what I love about that clip is that it shows you a bunch of different couples. You can see the space between them, the different patterns that they have, the different way that therapists approach it. Couples therapy is a very common modality. And again, a lot of stigma. A lot of people would never consider going to that unless it was a last ditch effort. But it's like having a neutral mediator, right? Who's there to kind of help you navigate. But it's hard. A lot of stuff comes up. People get really heated, right? When you love someone, you get passionate. For good or for worse, right? For better or worse. And oftentimes you have to send the couple home and hope they don't kill each other in the car, right? Please be nice to each other. I will see you both next week, right? Hopefully it's all okay. But this is something that, again, very common within this modality. And then there's also some culture sensitive therapies. So rather than, this one is a little bit different, focusing on helping people to maybe deal with discrimination or prejudice that might be related to a group they belong to. If they're maybe a member of a minority group, that might be helpful. But family, couples, and group therapy are the most common by far. And I have
little homework assignment for you. This is your second participation activity. So I'm gonna hand this out and then we'll talk about it for a moment, really before we run out of time. This is gonna be you the next class, and you can just write it directly on here. And you're welcome to work on it with another person if you want, or just on your own. Either one is totally fine. But what you're gonna be doing with this is kind of pulling together everything from this chapter. So I have this little case study about a young man named Mark. And so on the front, you're gonna read through the case study. And then on the back, you're gonna try and think about Mark from each of the different perspectives or models that we had talked about. And you can do bullets, you can just write down like general thoughts. You can very easily find some examples for each model within it. So again, what I want you to do is you'll read through this, it's 3 paragraphs, right? And this is something that someone else wrote and then I kind of added to a little bit. But what you'll do then on the back is you're going to write about how can we explain some of Mark's behavior. How could you explain some of Mark's behavior from a biological perspective, right? So what are some of the, did you have a question? I just want to make sure you understand. Okay, so from a biological perspective, how could you explain it? From a psychodynamic or Freudian, how could you explain some of the things going on behaviorally, cognitively, humanistic, existential, and then sociocultural? So you can do bullets, but like a couple of thoughts for each one. And then what we'll do next time is in the beginning, I'll have you get into groups and kind of take a few moments to talk about it together in a group. And then we'll talk about it together and then I'll collect it. So make sure you work on this. It will be due on Monday. And then we have like one last slide that we will wrap up with after we talk about this. And then we'll move on to chapter 3. So I'll leave these up here if you didn't get one or if you need an extra copy or anything. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you all on Monday. This is